What's up, Mortgage Coach community? I am super pumped about this interview because I'm interviewing someone that has been a friend of mine for, God, Jane, how many years ago did we meet each other?
Dave, I was trying to think about that. At least 25, and I think maybe longer.
It seems like forever. You know, I've been doing this now.
I know, it was really, really young.
Yeah, I think it could be closer to 30. Like, if I had to guess,
I think it's more like 28, 30. Almost as long as I've been in the business, Dave.
Yeah. So, what year did you start? By the way, are you up 36 years?
I've been in the business. This is my 30th year. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, it'll be 31. 31.
Yeah. So guys, I met Jane Floyd, let's just say 28 years ago. And I was a top producer. I really had some unique things I was doing. It was pre-Mortgage Coach. Oh yeah, for sure. It must have been 28 because I started Mortgage Coach 25 years ago. So 28-ish years ago. And we formed this mastermind group. Jane, names you might recognize like Stephen Marshall. Anyways, just a lot of very successful loan officers at that time. And we would I don't think it was every month, but every couple of months or every quarter, we'd go do site visits. And that, guys, that was transformational in my career because that's where I learned the power of making friends that you share values with, that will be transparent with you and learn. And, that was my first experience with masterminding, which became the cornerstone of Mortgage Coach. Like, I actually there wouldn't probably be a Mortgage Coach if it wasn't for that mastermind. And there wouldn't be a YouTube channel because I wouldn't have fallen in love with masterminding with other loan officers if for that. And so, Jane Floyd, welcome to the first interview in Mortgage Coach land.
Oh my goodness, I'm honored. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited. Now, it is Mortgage Coach and Sales Boomerang land now. So I am the Chief Innovation Officer of Mortgage Coach and Sales Boomerang. Jane and her team use both platforms. The company she works for has an awesome Sales Boomerang partnership. They also have an amazing Mortgage Coach partnership. And we're going to talk about how Jane is, Jane and Charles, I'm going to have her introduce Charles in a minute, but how they're helping realtors sell homes in this market. So Jane, why don't you just give the audience a little bit on yourself and then introduce Charles.
Sure. So as you just found out, I've been in business for about 30 years. And this is Charles Baxter, my superstar loan officers who started with me, stayed about a year, and then he had to grow up, left and went to a big bank. And he came back, and he's been back how long?
A year and a half.
A year and a half, and he's absolutely crushing it. And Mortgage Coach, honestly, is probably for one of the differentials. And Dave, I'm probably like your worst friend that took the longest to, even though I've always been a huge believer, obviously a believer in you and anything you do, but Mortgage Coach, but I'm just not that techie. So I had to surround myself with people that just were implementing Mortgage Coach. And so Charles has been using it just at a crazy level. And I watched him with his agents and with his clients. And then, as you know, Dave, finally got on board. And now my team is using it as well. So what we'd just like to talk about, like right now, what's really relevant, what I see with Mortgage Coach, Dave, is that it's just a differentiator as far as to me, it simplifies the information for both the borrower, but also the agents get really excited when they see. That's what we've been doing lately, is sharing with them. Here's the consultation. Here's what it looks like. This is what we're showing to your clients, depending on, whether we're doing rent versus own or total cost analysis. And right now, personally, and I think Charles too, we're doing a lot of the 2-1 buy downs, Dave, in our business. Everybody knows business is down with what's going on right now. And so this is something we're using on every client. So I am probably going to let Charles talk about right now. And would you like to show us examples of what we're showing them?
Yeah, let me just say a few things. So I've been working to get Jane on the team for a while, and she is a top producer. What kind of production do you do most years, Jane?
Well, this year we're down. I'll hit about 200 million this year. Last year I was at about 270 million. No, I'm sorry. Last year, 2020 personal volume, I was at 250 million last year, 676 units. This year I'll end up with about 450 units personal production, and then the branch, we're about double that on the branch. So super happy with my numbers though right now, honestly, Dave, with what's going on in the environment.
Jane, I mean, guys, did you hear that? Oh, I'm down 200, she's going to do 200. And she's got a branch that does double that. So, I mean, this is a very elite mortgage professional that plays at a high level. And she started using Mortgage Coach in this market because this isn't just selling rates market. We got to show strategies, and we're going to get into that. And when she said, Dave, I'm using Mortgage Coach, I'm like, well, hey, let's do an interview. And she's like, well, other people create it. I'm using it with realtors. And I go, well, you pick a loan officer on your team. And Charles, she raved about you. She's like, oh, I've got the perfect person. This person is not only doing really great things individually, but they're helping our branch adopt it, which, anyone in this market, if you're a branch manager, you want to have a Charles, you want to have someone that's adopted Mortgage Coach that can help other people. So Charles, why don't you tell, how you're using Mortgage Coach to help realtors, and then Jane, you two kind of feed off each other. Like if he's doing something that helps you bring that out, and I'll, and by the way, guys, this is live. So if you have questions, put them in chat. And if you're watching the YouTube video of this, put questions in comments. So Charles, tell us what you're doing.
Well, thanks for having me, first and foremost. Thank you for the kind words, Jane, Dave. Dave doesn't say how much stuff he does for everybody. Dave literally came down here personally and introduced himself. So thank you for that. So I am going to, you want me to share my screen, Dave?
Well, before you share your screen, frame it, because I always say it's not about the technology, it's about the story, what's either the realtor story or the family story, and then it's about the strategy. So tell us what the story and the strategy is.
I think before he jumps into the screen, I just wanted to share and what I have my team, my loan officers, what literally we're talking, what we've been doing just in the past several weeks, Dave. And it sounds so basic, but I can't even count lists. And really, I started out by just getting into offices and just explaining the 2-1 buy down, right? Get over the rates. Let's talk about what the 2-1 buy down is. And then I kind of broke it down, and I realized what was happening. The power in doing Zooms with just a smaller group. So I am having probably about 7 to 8 Zooms a week with teams. So anywhere between 3 and 7 people on a team, and basically just getting the agents with their whole team on the Zoom, and just using the Mortgage Coach and showing them the 2-1 buy down, and just going deep about how this can help your clients, and then also how this can help you. We're explaining it and how we're using this. In fact, we've delivered probably 6 sets of co-branded Mortgage Coaches today to agents that are doing open houses, so that their sellers right now, changing market, and how their sellers can use and pay that buy down. So just right now, that's really working for me in the realtor community.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So, and guys, we got a lot of interviews where we're hearing the same thing, where, loan officers that are incredibly successful, they're getting out and they're bringing leadership to realtors, and it's around, hey, this is how I can create affordability solutions to help you sell homes, whether that's a listing that you need to make more affordable through either a 2-1 buy down or a seller funded buy down, or you got to help a buyer, understand. And I'm going to share a couple stories myself, but that's a perfect segue for you, Charles. So give us a story and a strategy.
Okay, so I can do all right. So essentially, kind of one of the things I've been starting with is I like to set up the meeting. So Jane's been doing, small mini groups where it's 3 to 7. I went through my whole database of my top 40 agents that I already rock with, and we did one-on-one Zooms, and I walked them through presentations specifically on, one of the 2-1 buy downs. So I have, I've kind of labeled it so it's almost one to many, and I'm giving them the example, and I'm hoping you guys can see my screen here. So,
We can see it perfectly.
perfect. So, for instance, this is what I did. I had, and you guys have all done this before, so context is important, but I have a list price here on this, and this is option 1. I've got the list price with a price drop of 20,000. I've got a client buy down, and then I've got the 2-1 buy down. So walking either, mostly the agents through it, I kind of walk them through. It's 600,000 here. The payment on this is 3803. This is, keeping context important, around 6.875. And then I show the difference at 580,000, what the payment looks like. So for a client perspective, the agents are all saying, wow, that's, not that big of a deal. And, most of you guys know this, so it's 155, give or take, difference. Now they'll say, okay, well, what happens if the client just buys down the rate at 6.5% there? Still not that major of a difference here, right? So they can see the difference in payment. And then I have the 2-1 buy down at the 4.875, and then kind of what that difference makes that first year. Now, again, you can look at that $663 and kind of say, wow, that's that first 12 months. What I usually do is I come down here in the payment stream. It'll show them that first 12 months, 4.875, next 12 months at the 5.875, and the remainder of the term at that 6.875, and just, kind of go from there. Most of the agents are wowed by that. And typically I will show them how much it costs to put their clients in that 2-1 buy downs, usually anything from $12,500 to $15,000, which is much less than that $20,000 price drop and more effective for the clients. So that's just a quick, 30 seconds to kind of show you the presentations I've been doing one-on-one with some of the agents.
I am digging that. So again, I want, well, first of all, before I ask my next question, Jane, you're taking strategies like this and you're including them with your, I assume, your realtor Zoom meetings. So you're using this as kind of a teaching tool with realtors, or let us know what, how are you using this total cost analysis with agents in your Zoom meetings?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, if you can if anybody can get in right now, I think to get in front of any real estate offices, get in their meetings, and all they care about right now is how can you help us? How can you help us sell more houses? How can you help us get more buyers on contract and get off these, 7% interest rates? So I've been very fortunate, Dave, to get in front of, you have to work it, and you just got to ask. I have never had, nobody wanted to see us last year, right? It was just, nobody could breathe, right? And now this year, agents are looking for anything that can help them. And so getting in front of the offices, I think I've been live, let's just take we did have a hurricane last week. So if we kind of take that out, I've been live in probably in front of 8 offices in the past few weeks, and then giving them enough, just telling them about it. And then boom, I'm out of there and I am on a mission. I've not had one agent tell me, no, I won't get on a Zoom with you. I love the face-to-faces, but the Zoom, because now I've got the smaller groups, right? The 4 to 7 to 8 people. And what this list is questions, more questions. And like Charles said, when his scenario was whatever, $600 and something, that's a lot of money to a lot of people, right? And when you share with them also, okay, so instead of your buyer, we're again on the 2-1 buy down, what's important for the agent to know, we're qualifying them on the end rate. However, it is affordability, Dave, in many markets, but it's also, a lot of people are very budget conscious right now, right? With inflation and, what's going on. that amount, the scenario that I did, the other just did it was like $800 difference. So explaining to these agents, like, this is what we're doing for your borrower. This is why you need to have them call us and not call somebody else. We're showing them this. So rather than saying, Mr. Borrower, we got to go back and tell your agent you need to bring the price point down by, $100,000. Let's take advantage of this 2-1 buy down, because I believe, I think most people believe rates will come down and we will refinance you.
Yeah, there's no doubt. So I want to show my screen, and Jane, I want you to comment as a coach, because a lot of you may not know, but Jane is a legend in core. I mean, she's a core coach and has coached a lot of, America's most successful loan officers. And then Charles, I want you to comment on what I'm going to share as a mortgage professional. So, Jane's going to coach, and you're going to be as a loan officer, hey, that's cool, and ask me questions. So the number one video in the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel this week is this interview I did with Jeremy a couple of weeks ago. And Jeremy's also a core coach, and I'm sure personal friends with you, Jane. Is that right?
Of course, he's amazing. I love my Jeremy.
So
who doesn't? Everybody loves Jeremy.
So this is a 29-minute video where Jeremy really unpacked his strategy, and part of it, it's like a two-part. This was a first-time home buyer that was really concerned about buying right now. Affordability's gotten a lot worse, payments gone up. So Jeremy actually did 2 total cost analysis for this person. First one was, hey, here's without a credit, here's with a credit. And he really was just able to make the case with the consumer that this is a pretty good time to buy. It's easier to marry the house right now. You're going to get more concessions, you're going to have less competition. And while rates aren't good today, you're dating the rate. So you notice how on the right, he's showing what rates might be next year. And so that's date the rate, marry the house. And that helped that buyer go, oh, okay, I get that concept visually. And then he said, and you got to divorce the rent. Let's look at the rent, and let's look at that means over the long run with you. And so, he's showing a rent versus own. And he's breaking it down. Here's another one. I interviewed a brand new loan officer last week, first year in the business, did $1 million last month in production. And he's doing the, divorce your rent, but he's doing it with a house hacking strategy. So it was a first-time buyer that said, I don't want to buy right now. I'm going to wait a year. And he's like, okay, no problem. Let's put in the numbers. And again, this is a single first-time home buyer. And he showed him, you know what, if you buy a 3-bedroom home and then you rent out 2 of the bedrooms for $650, which was market for this, he's like, look, you can buy now where you have less competition and you get some concessions. And then if you took that, and forget about even getting a better rate in the future. This is if you just stick with that rate and you invested $650 a month per property with the financial planner, look at what your net worth could be in 5 years. And brand new first year loan officer, is off the fence and in escrow. About 2 hours ago, I did a special, what do we call it? For Caliber, I had Cody Touche and 3 other $100 million producers at Caliber, and they were just doing show and tell. One would show this strategy, the other would show this strategy. Check this out, Jane. Cody,
I love Cody.
Put together a rent versus house hack strategy. And you notice, rent is in the far left, purchase and rent match. Part of his strategy is to say, everybody wants to have the same payment, so, hey, I'm renting and this is my payment. He's like, hey, over here, this is getting a house at the same payment as your rent. So he's showing purchasing a home and having the same payment as rent. But then he says, but hey, you can house hack. And he showed he was able to get this buyer to buy, it was units. I don't care if it was a duplex or a triplex, but it was units, and said, hey, what about doing $1 million property and look at the net worth increase. So I'm going to pause real quick, and James or Charles, I'm going to ask you first. what are your thoughts on that? How do you like that as a loan officer? And are you doing anything like that?
First of all, let me just say, I think it was Ryan and Cody, you guys are taking it to another level. So I always like this because it's just like sports, you guys get to compete. So I already know I'm going to ask Dave for those strategies. I'm going to steal a bunch of stuff. I personally am not. You guys are just taking it to another level because everybody, 30s, millennials, they're all going to want a house hack. So I thought that was awesome.
Cool. So not doing it yet. And then, so Jane, before I hand it to you, I want to also frame one other thing, because you're a coach. I think at a minimum, we're in a 2-year period where first-time home buyers are the key. Because
oh my gosh, that's all we talked about today in our monthly meeting.
Yeah, because all those people that locked in their rate at 2 and 3, even when we come out of this, they're not going to be in a hurry. And it's not like rates are going back down to 2 or 3. Are they going to get in the 4s? I hope so, and I think so. But
Probably.
But are they going to get in the low 3s and 2s? Probably not. That bubble's popped. So first-time home buyers are where it's at. And then one last thing, and then I want to hear your opinion as a coach. Helping homeowners that have equity buy investment properties, showing them strategies, helping people who could get a second home and showing them what that looks like from a wealth accumulation standpoint. Like as a mortgage coach, like the next 2 years, if you don't have mortgage coaching, you're not delivering advice, you're really missing out. What are your thoughts on that as a coach?
Well, back to your first question. So my team is using the rent versus own on any client that's a first-time home buyer that is renting. So that right now to me is critical, because what happened, Dave, and everybody knows, is when rates shot up, some people paused and they thought, well, we might not. But when you show the graph that you just showed, which is what we're using, and you show the map of the rent versus own, and here in our area, in the Tampa Bay area, rents just keep going up, Dave. It is unbelievable. So it's so easy, especially even when someone would say like, wow, okay, I don't want to pay 7%. I think I'll keep renting. We show them the rent versus own, and that's it. I mean, hands down, they're buying. They're buying if they can get the money. So that we are using pretty much on every client that is renting.
So pause on that. So everybody, I hope you heard that. I mean, Jane Floyd, one of America's most successful loan officers, is making it a requirement that all first-time home buyers get a rent versus own. And I personally think, just as a responsibility as lenders, it's not only like a good idea in this market from a sales perspective, you're giving that consumer financial literacy training. Like they're learning about what home ownership can be, and so they're getting value. And then of course in this market, it's just good deals. So as a coach, like let's say there's a loan officer on this, and they heard Charles's idea, they heard what Jeremy's doing, and they need to implement these strategies. What would you assign? Like if you were coaching someone and they're like, hey, I watched your video, Jane, and I really liked what you're doing, and I want to actually execute and implement. Like what's the Jane Floyd coaching notes?
Well, they don't want to do it like I did, do they, Dave? And wait forever until.
No. By the way, I didn't ask what you do. I said, what advice do you give as a coach?
Yeah. So you don't want to do. So basically, back to what you originally said. So now it is like literally, Dave, it's mandatory. Like he'll tell you. I brought Charles in, and I'm like, okay, show him how to do this, because I couldn't do it if I had to. I can present it all day long. I love that. They do the work. But he came in and he presented my entire team mandatory. It was mandatory on every single client. So I would just say, and Dave, your team is unbelievable on training. So first of all, you got to get Mortgage Coach. I mean, I signed up and didn't even use it for so long, even though all my successful friends were using it. So just get it. And then at the end of the day, you just have to block the time and start using it. And when I finally did that, now we're using it every time on every single borrower. So it's just like anything, you have to make it a priority, put it in your schedule. And then what you want to do though, like for me, like what's been exciting is we're talking about agents, right? I think it's so fun right now. I mean, many of us, as you know, probably Jeremy, Coach told you, I mean, we all just came out of a 90-day boot camp, right? Meeting new agents, and many of us are just still doing it. But if you, so you have to be doing it so you can, you got to be credible with what you're saying. And this is why getting in front of agents, and then we're showing them, this is what we're showing your buyer. You can't get them on the fence. Well, we're showing them this rent versus own. And look at the numbers here. It's very easy, very simple, very clear. If you're super analytical, then you can go into many more graphs that Mortgage Coach has to offer. But just then you're showing it to the agents. So basically just get it, make it like I finally did, make it mandatory. Put it in your schedule, and then it's like anything that you want to do, put it on a checklist. We all have a checklist for what we do with the client. Well, Mortgage Coach is part of that professional presentation.
So I want to shift gears here for a minute, because you guys, not only use Mortgage Coach, but your company also has Sales Boomerang. And one of our missions now, in my role as Chief Innovation Officer of Mortgage Coach Boomerang, is to make what's here come true. Financial advisors, I've always been jealous of in the mortgage business, because they get paid on their database every year. It's called assets under management, and life insurance gets paid on their database every year. It's called book of business. And one of the things we want to make come true is loan officers get paid every year. It's called mortgages under management. And so, for anyone not watching this, or even for anyone watching this, if you watch our YouTube channel, I talk about this a lot now, because it's so important. Like, this is what your realtor database looks like. Like, the realtors that you serve, they don't get the same kind of alerts that you get. They can't even get them if they want. Like, if they wanted a shopping alert when someone ran a credit report alert, they can't get it. Only lenders can get that. And so this is what top lenders do. But now at Mortgage Coach and Sales Boomerang, we're going beyond alerts to insights and strategies. And Mortgage Coach is integrated with Sales Boomerang. I don't know if you knew that yet, Jane. But so like literally every alert can have an actual total cost analysis already created. And so my question to you, Jane. Oh, did you say something?
No, go ahead.
So my question to you is, how, and Charles, I want you to weigh in too, how are you two using those Sales Boomerang alerts? And, how are you staffing around that? How are you making sure they get called?
We haven't been using it as much as we should. I just recently found out that the alerts pop up on your thing. So mandatory, I think it's Thursday or Friday, we have to do past client calls and VIP calls. So I've just been reaching out to the database and kind of giving them some current information, see if they need anything, is there anything going on in your life, and then going through that. I didn't know the Sales Boomerang went even deeper into that. So it'll tell you exactly what's going on. But I mean, up until recently, a couple of your interviews, I didn't know we had access to that.
And Dave, I would probably have to bring, and what I was when I was listening to you, again, I told you, this is why it took me years to implement. I don't even know what Sales Boomerang is. I'd have to bring someone in my team, but I will tell you, and we may be using it, Dave, but years ago, Scott Cummings.
When you're getting alerts and your team members are calling, if someone runs a credit report with someone else, that's
absolutely. Is that what we get those? I get those on my phone and somebody else is working them.
Yeah, right. So you have someone on your team that's calling them.
Yeah. Calls, text, and I just wanted to say too that Scott Cummings for years, like because we get ready when that, I do believe that will be in the fours at some point, whether it's next year or the following year, who knows? But I remember Scott Cummings just when on the last refi boom, Mortgage Coach it was just automatic, right? Like, he's like, you are an idiot for not using Mortgage Coach with the refis, right? I mean, I had to back then manually do them. So, but to answer your question, Dave, I don't know. I'd have to bring someone in because they're doing all of that for me now.
Love it. Well, I do want to give everyone a reminder on, well, not a reminder, make sure you kind of give you a strategy. So for all of you out there in boomerang land, the cash out insights where what the debt is, what the credit score is, you know what the value is, what the home equity is. It will tell you how much tappable equity it is. I want to really push you guys that this is not just an opportunity to reach out to a consumer and have a, hey, let's talk about home improvement. Let's talk about consolidating debts. This is a lead for a realtor. This is a potential move up. Anytime someone has all this going on, it can be a move up. And then I also, Jane, I do want to, if you want me to assign someone on my team to do some training with you on this.
Absolutely.
Will you, because you have both Mortgage Coach and Sales Boomerang built into your CRM, and you could be going to realtors and pretty much like giving them this presentation. We got a lot of loan officers saying, hey, realtors, this is what your database looks like. This is what I can make it look like. I've got someone on my team calling, and then you could do down here, you could start adopting the database of realtors, where they're just another reason for them to give you a referral. So just an idea out there.
No, it's not an idea. That'll be my next project, Dave.
All right. Well, let's go into wrap up mode. So Charles, as a, loan officer who's using Mortgage Coach, and you're also helping a lot of other people in Jane's branch get after it. Any closing words you have, any advice you have for any loan officers listening in right now?
I would just say most of us, if we're a loan officer at any branch right now, we probably have a sales manager or branch manager that's been a coach or was a coach. I would ask them to coach you 30 minutes. Jane coaches me twice a month, budget, P&L, sales calls, everything. Like this week, my assignment was 15 face-to-faces with agents, right? I already hit that. I had to send out like a certain amount of thank you cards and stuff. I would make it mandatory for yourself to watch a few of the top interviews and then teach yourself. Literally, Dave's people have they walk you through in 2 minutes on how to set stuff up. So first thing, I would check guidelines. I talk to your coach, and I would do Mortgage Coach strategies. Literally, that's it. Those 3 things I think would help you blast off for next year.
Charles, thank you so much. Jane, any closing thoughts for you for any loan officers listening in?
Obviously, if you're not using it, you need to use it now. But what you just showed, Dave, right now, I am every day, all I think about is what other value, how much value, what can I add to agents that I'm not doing? That's what I'm constantly thinking about. And I've heard multiple times this week, it's amazing how they don't work their databases. What you just showed, we're hanging up and I'm scheduling that for next week. So to be able, to go in and we take over their database and actually I did have a Zoom, I won't mention it, with one of the top real estate companies today. And we talked about the owner, we talked about working their databases, right, for them. And so our timing here is unbelievable. So I would just say implement it and implement it fast.
Yeah, and just so everyone has a little training tool, we now have a playlist called Sales Boomerang Strategies. And this is actual interviews I've done where loan officers are doing exactly what I said. This is, Prime Lending's #1 loan officer. And it's how he's turning his database into a data bank. This is Wally Elderberry, who actually went from, I think he had 11,000 mortgages under management, who's now over 27,000 mortgages under management, because he's going to realtors and financial advisors, and he's adopting their database. So, I've got lots of interviews. Josh Metal is doing that. This whole playlist is all about how to turn your database into dollars, how to turn your database into a data bank. And so cool. So I hope everybody got value. If you got questions, put them down below. If you liked this conversation, give it a like, share it with your mortgage friends. And Jane, I really would love to interview you again and just focus, you said, hey, I'm making sure every first-time home buyer gets a TCA. I would love to interview you and someone on your team so that loan officers can really get a feel for how to make that a standard. And we interview the person on your team that's actually doing that. We go through a couple examples of first-time home buyers where it's like, whoa, I didn't realize. So if you're game, I'll be reaching out to you on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Charles, I'm looking forward to your success story, interviewing you again. And I just want to thank you for helping so many people become advisors, and then helping Jane, helping the branch. I'm really looking forward to interviewing again, my man.
No problem.
We appreciate all you do, Dave.
Appreciate you.
You're amazing.
You're
See you, buddy.
amazing. See y'all later.